This past spring, after the flurry of roadside federal election signs finally dissipated, you might have noticed a new series of signs on your daily commute. From Castlegar to Nelson, all the way up to Caslow, even across the water to Crawford Bay, there were now nicely designed green signs that read, "Grit and Grind." I thought, wow, someone's been busy. The company was aggressively advertising window washing, gutter cleaning, and power washing. Like many of us, I've got some neglected windows and gutters of my own, so I checked them out. What I discovered blew me away. On their slick, very pro and informative website, I quickly learned this business is run by kids, teenagers who look like they're barely out of middle school. I have had and currently do have young teenagers, and while my kids are great and all, forgive me if I'm a little confused. Kids running a full-fledged adult business? It's a brand new youth-oriented startup, I suppose. But no, according to their website, Grit and Grind has been in business for 5 years. Now I'm even more intrigued. So I go a little deeper. The company is owned by Porter Hansen, a 17-year-old go-getter from Nelson. Today, Grit and Grind has 2 trucks running part-time with 10 different full or part-time technicians, as they're referred to. Since he started the business, Hansen claims to have had 50 different teens working for him. And this year, the business is forecasting to service 500 homes. Last year, they did just 150. Busy indeed. On his social media platforms, the youngster espouses his commitment to customer service, the benefits of maintaining your home, and the great team environment he's created with his youthful employees. In a recent Facebook post, Hansen writes, "I have been asked many times why I did not name the company something like Mountain Window Cleaning. And before, I didn't have a reason. But with all the time I've put into structuring the business, recently I realized I named it after the values I envisioned for my team." 17 years old, and he's already got it figured out. A true entrepreneur. But Hansen is not alone. Last year, a couple of Selkirk college students placed third in a global business competition where they had to run a virtual bike company. Third in the world versus much larger universities and colleges. I've said it many times before, there's got to be something in the water around here. And it's exciting to see the basin has a wealth of motivated young people destined to be future business owners. Welcome to our episode on Basin Entrepreneurs. I'm Mitchell Scott, and this is the Headwaters, brought to you by Columbia Basin Trust. These days, the largest and most prolific companies are so big they almost feel invisible. Like they're so naturally embedded in the background of daily life, you don't really notice them anymore. Toyota made your car, and Adidas made your shoes, Kleenex made your Kleenex. But do you know their story? Can you put a face to the business? Fortunately, here in the basin, we still have businesses with stories. People we recognize and might even know at the helm. In this episode, we're going to meet some of those folks. We'll introduce you to entrepreneurs who've grown thriving and iconic local businesses with local supply chains, those who have created distinct and innovative products, and entrepreneurs whose companies are a throwback to a century ago. Everyone loves an unlikely story. So how about a famous cafe sprung from expired cheese, an international juice brand cold pressed in a gas station, or a second-generation shoe store that will still fix grandma's heels? But let's start where most of us do each morning, at the cafe. Our reporter Matt Cote is going to take us to the busiest gathering place in Revelstoke. Matt, where are we visiting first?
Mitch, where I live in Revelstoke, that spot is La Baguette. It's a little cafe on the west side of town. And if you meet mountain people anywhere who know about Revelstoke, they know about La Baguette. It's basically synonymous with the town, and it might even be more famous than the ski hill.
Okay, those are some serious props. Please, do tell.
Well, every mountain town needs that place that's open early for pastries and coffee before you go skiing or biking or climbing. And La Baguette was kind of the first to fill that void in Revy. It has incredible food and coffee. It's one of those rare places you can get like legit fresh-baked French-style croissants and pastries, just like you're in France. But they also have a grocery market attached to their cafe called Le Marché. And they sell these fancy French cheeses you can't find anywhere else, but they're also half price because they're expired. And that's actually a big part of what lured a lot of people in and built the cafe's following. But I'll let Sonia Ratté explain that.
Come on over. We'll show you Le Marché.
Okay.
There we go. We're going to go talk with Sergio, the mafioso. Hi, Sergio. So this is our cheese fridge.
Okay.
It's not that full. Sometimes you cannot walk in there. So that's all the green cheese, the cheese program that we're doing.
Yeah. Can you explain the green cheese program and how that started?
Literally, we used to sell the cheese at La Baguette when we started La Baguette, but it was so busy that we decided to open Le Marché, almost just for the cheese. So what we do is we save pallets of cheese every week. We receive kilos and kilos of expired cheese and sell it, but our customer know it's expired. It's called the green cheese program, and like you can find like $2 or $3 piece of cheese sometimes.
But really nice cheese as well, right? Like these are from France and...
Yeah, imported cheese and tasty. And yeah, you're totally allowed to sell expired cheese. Everyone asks me, yes, it's not a problem.
And what's expired is just the best before date. It's not, the food isn't actually expired or gone bad. It's just past its...
Exactly. Sometimes we'll get like a 8-year-old cheddar expired. You're like, what? Or a brie that's hard. You're like, okay, it's not ripe yet. It's not expired.
Green cheese? Like the forgotten saran-wrap nugget at the back of the fridge green cheese? What a unique way to start a business.
Tell me about it. But here's the deal. Today they employ over 75 people between their 2 bakery locations. One of them is up at the ski hill. And then the grocery store, Le Marché, plus their restaurant. And if that's not enough, they have a little farm in Cusp too, where they grow as many ingredients as they can. But they're still dedicated to the ideas that they started with.
It's always like been our idea here at Le Marché and La Baguette to have really affordable food. So in both sides, restaurants or grocery, as much as we can.
Yeah, and I was saying before, the cheap cheese is kind of like famous across our big area. I used to have friends when I would go meet them in Rogers Pass to go skiing with them, friends from Golden, that would ask me to like deliver La Baguette cheese to them. And
yeah, that happens all the time. We get orders for Nelson, people just walking, like driving by and bringing box of cheese for their friend. It's like very common. Yeah, I think we're the only place that I know, maybe in Canada, that do that. I don't know.
So something that I think even people in Revy don't know is La Baguette uses local ingredients as much as possible, plus the food they grow at their farm in Cusp. They also make as much in-house as they can, like pickles and even gelato. And it's almost farm to table. But more than anything, I think it's the French-style baking that stands out. You were telling me how many croissants you make a day. Can you take me through that again?
Yeah, so we make homemade croissant here. We make about 400 a day. Yeah, we use real butter. That's really important. And organic flour, which is like staple for us. And like, yeah, when I opened La Baguette, it was super important for me to use good quality ingredients. And I want to feed good food, healthy food to my customers.
And a lot of the menu does seem French-inspired.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm from Quebec, and Olivier as well, my partner. So, and I think maybe that's why we're busy, maybe because it's different. It brings a little French touch. Everyone knows that French croissants are great.
We walk through the cafe, and the lineup is almost out the door, which is pretty much always in the summer. And then Sonia shows me the little spot she used to single-handedly bake in that now has about a dozen people working in it. How many loaves will you do a day?
Oh, that's a good question. 200 plus the baguettes. The baguettes we make like 100.
Okay. Does the scale of what's going on here, it's super busy in the cafe, which is great. It's got an amazing energy. And then when you took me into the kitchen just there, I was just blown away at how many people were working. Does the scale of this surprise you when you think about where you started?
Yeah, it's insane actually. Sometimes I have to stop and look at it because I don't realize it. I've never thought this would do that. I was thinking a little cafe, that was my idea, and I wanted to do everything.
So would you say that the business grew like sourdough?
Totally. It's like a very happy sourdough. Yeah, totally. I'm gonna keep that. That's great.
So a food empire sprung from airborne yeast and moldy cheese. Love it. Okay, where are we heading to next?
Yeah, so among all the local goodies for sale in La Baguette, you'll find this one kind of juice that's distinctly bottled in little glass single-serve milk bottles, and that's Stoke cold-pressed juices, and that takes us out of Revelstoke and 5 hours away to Kimberley. So Stoke cold-pressed juices was started by Jill Laban. She grew up in Kimberley, and her family owned the Centex gas station. And back in 2015, she started cold pressing juices in the back of the gas station to use up old fruit and produce, all by herself, and hand bottling it and selling it. And then little by little, she transformed the gas station into a health food store. And then eventually she meets Alistair Laing. Alistair's originally from Texas, but he comes to Kimberley to ski, and the two fall in love. They become business partners, and now today, the Centex is the healthiest place to buy food in town, and Stoke is sold all across Western Canada and even Texas. Here's Alistair to talk about it.
I like to eat well, and so the Centex is the hub for organic food in Kimberley and well eating, and so I was just a customer, and I met Jill in there.
Oh, that's how you met her?
I literally met her I needed help shopping.
I just learned this term, but I guess in the rom-com, that's the meet cute.
It's the meet cute. She's just, walking down aisle 2. It's like, hey. So she convinced me to quit my fancy corporate job and try being an entrepreneur and work harder than I've ever worked in my entire life.
Funnily enough, the Centex is still actually an active gas station, but now it's also the Stoke market. They still sell gas, but when you walk inside, it's completely disorienting because it pretty much feels like a farm stand with a hipster coffee bar in it. Alistair says it still takes some tourists by surprise.
And it's still fun for us every summer, especially when the golfers start coming and they open the door, and sometimes people take a few steps in and look around and they look at their buddy and they think, maybe did I go in, was there 2 doors? And I went in a different door than the gas station door kind of thing, and they're a little confused. Because we sell nothing that is a gas station anymore. There's no cigarettes, there's no lottery tickets, there's no slushies.
That must really mess people up. Like the complete and total opposite of your traditional gas station.
Yeah, you're generally looking for things that are going to take years off your life, like a Mars bar and a Coke, and then you open the door and it's all stuff that's going to add years to your life. But the business is way too big for the gas station now. They're delivering thousands of bottles a week from Calgary to Vancouver. So to meet those demands, they have this brand new 10,000 square foot facility they built just down the road in Marysville. Alistair took me on a tour, and the first thing you notice is this just very earthy smell in the air, kind of like celery and root vegetables.
Yeah, so we just moved into this facility in December.
Okay.
So it's brand new. We used to be in like 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
And so this was like a pretty epic, massive upgrade for us. We got to build it for what we need.
Oh, you built this?
We built this, yeah.
Okay.
We bought the land. It took over a year to find the land, a year to do the planning, and a little over a year to do the building. So it was a 3-year slog, and so we're just wrapping up. You can come on in.
Okay, thank you.
We juice very intensely Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
Okay.
And then Thursday is kind of our odds and ends. We make all of our immunity shots today, and then it's like we're just about to start like the big deep clean for the week.
One of the really distinguishing things about Stoke Juice is that you pay a $2 deposit for these really stout milk bottles, and then they take them all back and wash them and reuse them. So there's a whole section dedicated to that, and then all kinds of people working, about 40 in Kimberley, and then they have a sister facility in Texas doing the same thing with another 30. Alistair figures they're probably the second or third biggest employer in Kimberley to the ski hill, and then maybe the Save on Foods grocery store. What do we have here? The ingredients: apples, kale, spinach, lemon, celery. That's it.
That's it. You know, our front of label is not only the marketing portion of the flavor, but it is the ingredient table. Like, that's it. We don't add fillers, we don't add emulsifiers, dyes. What you see is the color from the spinach or the kale in this case, and then everything else is pure juice or vegetables. There's no gunk.
There are piles of fruits and veggies laying around everywhere that in a matter of minutes will be juice. And it's really cool to see the real, recognizable ingredients.
I've guzzled my fair share of Stoke juices. They are super delicious, but I've often wondered, they must have a lot of fruits and veggie parts they can't use in their juice. What do they do with that?
Everything goes to farmers for either feed or compost. Stoke isn't far from Creston and the Okanagan, which are huge food producers, so it's a pretty direct line on fresh ingredients. Because they do their own deliveries, part of their business model is to do deliveries for all sorts of other kootenai growers and agribusinesses. They deliver for Silver King Tofu out of Nelson, for example. They're actually supporting a whole range of local food distribution.
But I remember thinking, like, if we're ever going to scale this, there's like, Kimberley's got to be about the worst place on the planet to like try to scale a distribution business. But ironically, as we've grown, from where we're able to service, from Kimberley to Edmonton is 7 hours, and from Kimberley to Vancouver is 10 hours. So it's actually almost central to Western Canada.
That is really clever. Okay, Matt, where's our last stop?
Next, I'm taking you back to Revelstoke, where I can indulge in a bit of my foot fetish.
Which is kind of weird, but for some reason, I want to know more.
Wow, it's not actually a fetish. I just have an unusual affinity for good shoes and boots, but I'll circle back to that. I'm going to introduce you to Jordan Bott. He's a second-generation cobbler who now runs his family business. It's called Universal Footwear. Yeah, do you want to walk me around a little bit and show me a little bit of the store? And like, what do you got on your feet there? Let's start with that.
So this is my summer footwear. I'm sure you're familiar with Birkenstock.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are, oddly enough, have the most beaten up footwear usually out of anyone working here. And before working here, I worked in fitness facilities for a number of years. And I'm actually a huge barefoot guy.
Okay.
So it looks really bad if the guy selling you shoes is walking around barefoot or in moccasins. Sometimes I'll rock the moccasins.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my current go-to.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks very cobbler-esque.
Yeah, thank you.
The first thing you notice when you walk in is someone immediately shows up to help you. And it's clearly full of really high-quality shoes and boots. And there's this whole new section dedicated to cobbling and work boots that looks like it's from the 1930s. Jordan's dad is still in there with a smock on, working away. Jordan himself is this really big, fit guy, and he's also gregarious and welcoming. You expanded, what was it, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, that was we've been open on this side now for this other side of the store for over a year and a half. We've always done repairs. Malcolm has always done repairs, my dad, and it was always fairly basic stuff like stitching, and then of course the resoling and rebuilding of Birkenstocks was kind of the main thing.
Yeah.
And with all the forest maintenance business that happens in Revelstoke, whether it's brushing or planting or firefighting, we're getting a lot of requests for cork boots, which are like the boots that have basically a steel spike. You've seen them before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a growing part of our business.
So what you're saying is I can take my Birkenstocks here to get them resold rather than buy a whole new pair because they actually need that.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah, if your uppers are in good shape, then a resole is like $60. A rebuild's like $120.
Yeah.
And that's where you get new cork and a new sole.
Okay.
And compared to the cost of these, like these Bostons I'm wearing, these are about $190 now. So, you save a little bit of money, but also...
Don't have to break them in.
Totally. Yeah. And that patina, right? They sort of aesthetically, they become yours, where you could have a pair of shoes, like Blundstones you talked about. I'm sure everybody in Revelstoke or in the Kootenays has been to a house party or a gathering, and there's 12 pairs of Blundstones all sitting there, same color or whatever, but you know exactly which one is yours.
For me, this is all really cool because when I was growing up, my grandfather had a shoe factory and my dad was actually a sales guy. So my house was full of fancy leather dress shoes, and there's just this feeling of comfort and old-timiness that comes with the smell of leather, which is what I was getting at earlier.
Yes, the fetish makes a bit more sense now. It sounds like Universal Footwear still has a lot of local support.
I think of Revelstoke as this resource town transformed into an adventure destination, but sometimes I forget all the original locals are still totally here. And the original locals, well, they're all workers, right? Like loggers and railroaders and people who help build and maintain the hydro dams. So being able to buy quality work boots right here at home is huge for a lot of people. Being able to go try them on and work with a salesperson who really knows the product and cares that they fit your feet, well, that's really rare. Like cork boots, they can be up to $1,000.
Yeah, so the majority of it is CSA boots, and then there's a little bit of, I call it utility. So there's like some farm boots and some non-steel toes and some steel toes. But with all the construction going on in Revelstoke and the constant development, this was an area we wanted to expand.
Anytime I've ever come shopping in here, like whoever's helped me has known everything about every shoe in here. And then just sort of still this like old school sort of like warm feeling.
I treat people the way I want to be treated, and this is the way I learned to do business, spending lots of years in the store growing up. Just the little things, give people's shoes a quick polish or a quick dust off when they're trying something on. If it's a longer term thing, go waterproof them for them. The getting down and the measuring of people's feet, that's something we still like to try to do.
When I was in there, they were even fixing the heels on a set of shoes from the 60s that this woman had inherited from her grandmother. They had all this cobbling equipment they'd bought from an old store in Edmonton from the 70s. But Jordan told me even when you buy modern cobbling machines, brand new, they still look like this. That hands-on personal interaction is really at the core of their business.
And we actually talked a lot about that, whether or not we were going to go online. And I was against it because to me, I don't ever want to be a cashier. If a day comes where all my job is and all my staff do is take things from the customer, put them on the counter, and ring it through, that'll be the day we close our doors.
Business in the basin, as we're learning, is kind of a hybrid affair. Sometimes a mix of old school values, new ideas, or maybe even old industries and new techniques. But one of the things we've always done around here is work with wood. No surprise then that some of the world's most sophisticated timber framers are based right here in the basin. Our reporter, Matt Cote, visited one of them in the wee little bedroom community of Parson, just south of Golden. The scale of what he found happening there took him by surprise.
So we cut everything on our mill, then we'll plane it. This is an expansion we just finished 2 years ago, so the end of the building used to be here. This is the most advanced and largest K2 CNC timber processing machine in North America.
In North America?
Yeah. So
it's impressively automated. Well, I suppose automated, but you've got a pilot over here. But
yeah, they run it. But what ends up happening is the file is done by the guys upstairs, and then they will send a file to this machine for every single piece. So there is an operator, but all of the cuts and all the commands are baked into the software. Okay. So it knows what different joints are we're trying to achieve.
Canadian Timberframes is a business I've probably driven by about 1,000 times. It's a big facility that sits on a giant log-filled lot just off Highway 95, about 20 minutes south of Golden. When I first moved to the area about 2 decades ago, it was kind of a small local operation. But in 2008, this guy, Jeff Bose, he comes along and he sees the potential. Fast forward a few years and he's now the president and owner. And Canadian Timberframes is one of the busiest, most sophisticated, and most prestigious timber framers on the continent.
I grew up in farm country every summer filling timber frame barns with hay, sweating my ass off, but always appreciated these old 100-year-old structures in Ontario. And lo and behold, this little company outside of Toronto was making little homes and cottages out of new timber frames. So I ended up I was into construction, quit school, started working, and thought I'd work with them one summer just to cut frames. Well, 20 years later, ended up running their operation.
Jeff's 61 now, and he's been in the timber frame business for 40 years. But back in 2008, he was looking for a change, so he took a job with Hamel Creek Timber Homes in Meadow Creek. He worked there for about 3 years, often actually competing with Canadian Timberframes, before the founders of that company approached him to come help them grow. He took them up on the offer, and one of the first things Jeff did was convince them to invest in a state-of-the-art CNC machine and a robot.
Yeah, it was an interesting transition for the original founders here. When they bought the machine and they started working, it was almost a white label, cutting for hire, where other timber companies were hiring Canadian Timberframes to cut timber structures, and they would sell it under their logo, their brand. And that was great at the beginning. They did very, very well.
But what happened really quickly is Canadian Timberframes started being able to turn out really big and complicated jobs really fast, and the business boomed. Eventually, they had enough jobs to go direct to consumer and not have to sub out their facilities to other companies. They do about 125 structures a year now and have 20 or 30 jobs on the go at any given time, with 34 employees working year-round.
So marketing folks, constantly doing outreach and fun stuff, trying to spread the word, keep eyes on what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've got a design group in here, so we're dealing with everything from creative drawings, architectural drawings, but also primarily it's timber and structural components. So we get projects. This is a cool little cabin on Lake Shuswap.
How many square feet is that little cabin?
Oh, probably 8,000 square feet.
It's gorgeous.
Jeff brings me over to Nico, one of the designers, who pulls up some digital sketches. There's everything from giant mansions to tiny pergolas to buildings for local businesses.
So we're often marrying interesting timber elements, whether they're solid timber or mass timber, onto commercial buildings or residences even that want outdoor living space, and they don't maybe want a full timber frame, but they want elements. So it's never the same with what we're doing. But there's a huge move with commercial buildings, especially the government wants to have more of that BC product, natural wood, so schools, post offices, commercial government buildings is a great push.
Yeah, and this stuff can replace steel, yeah?
Huge. Steel, concrete, and mass timber, you look at the carbon footprint, how little it is, the strength per weight, the strength per environmental impact, so it's a good story, and it all comes from trees, and they keep growing.
Mass timbers are basically giant laminated posts and beams engineered to incredible strengths. It's a growing market.
But it's a good news story, too, because we're creating huge timbers, and you'll see some components out of smaller circumference trees. So
I was just about to ask. Yeah, you can do second growth for mass timber.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're creating a beam that used to take something 200 years to grow out of, components that are quicker to grow and replenish itself.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Their Hundiger K2i 1300 CNC with its 6-axis robot, it really is the secret sauce. It's a big red fancy thing that sucks 20-foot timbers right into it behind plexiglass, and then everything that comes out of it is perfect. Then they do quality control and fix all the little blemishes, stain everything in-house, and meticulously package it to be shipped out. But they also do other products now, too. And in some cases, they can even supply the better part of a house.
So roof systems, wall systems as well. I mean, obviously, Canadian Timberframes known for timber, but we also will do a full enclosure package. So walls and roof and siding, manufactured walls. So everything's done nowadays in computer software. So we're designing walls, we're designing timber work, roof systems.
Jeff tells me that they get most of their wood from right here in the Columbia Valley. Some in Revelstoke, and very occasionally from the coast, but interior Douglas fir actually makes better timbers.
So slow-growing trees are better quality.
Yeah, and they're denser, they're more stable. It's actually not, that's pretty tight for coastal wood. There's some there where you can clearly see, right?
A huge difference.
Yeah, 5 or 6 growth rings within an inch versus some that are so close you cannot even see.
The local stuff over there almost looked like looking at like a vinyl LP. It was so tight.
Yeah.
It takes Canadian Timberframes a couple years to dry all the wood they buy, which means at any given time, they have a good inventory out in front of them, which ended up being what saved them through the pandemic when harvesting slowed to almost a dead stop for a while. But recently they had another scare. Last summer, a wildfire burned right up to their property line and almost took out the whole business.
So a lot of our wood dries in here, not for kiln drying, but this is heated with, we've got underground coils that come from the wood stoves. They heat the floor. This closes in the winter, and we dry wood in here, and we can do about a week's worth of wood.
Okay, cool. And I can see how close the fire got.
Brutal. Yeah, like you can see we lost that whole mountain the end of July, and you can see all these fences are brand new. That building was on fire. That was one of the scariest nights I had with our team here. If it wasn't for some employees that took a chance to get here, the road was shut down. We had staged tankers, but there's the neighbor. There's 3 houses that were there that are all gone.
It's literally just on the other side of your fence.
It's, how close is it from this building? We're within,
I don't know, 100 feet?
100 feet.
Yeah.
And we held it. We had 3 tankers from the Nicholson Fire Department, a truck running water from town, and I hired 3 more pumpers from a guy that does contract work out of the Blaeberry. And if we didn't have 6 trucks, we were burning all night on 2 sides, and luckily we just held it. Like it was.
I can't imagine how stressful that must have been.
I still get freaked out.
One silver lining to that story that makes everything feel kind of circular is they're now starting to work with some of the burnt lumber salvaged from right up the hillside, which is super cool. But really, what you can hear in Jeff's voice there is just how important this business is for him as a legacy he wants to leave for the whole area. He really wants to provide quality work for people he genuinely cares about for generations to come.
I'm 61 now. I've been doing this 41 years. I love it. It's in my blood. It's what I've done forever. But it's a lot. It takes a lot. And arming the company with the best facility, equipment, marketing, brand strength means you're creating job security and safety for the company, right? And which is great for Golden. It's a cool place, and I've got a lot of people that have known me or followed me out here, but Vancouver guys, Toronto guys, and they go, gosh, I used to go and ski kicking horse for 1 week. It would be my dream week. We always, my wife and I joked about, wouldn't it be great to be able to live there? But we didn't think we'd ever have a decent job. So, we have people here that are making Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary money, but waking up on a Saturday morning and being 10 minutes from the gondola, which is very cool.
And now it's time for...
It's a tiny town.
In this installment of Tiny Town, where we stop by the places we usually pass by, we're pulling into the hamlet of Spillimachine. There is no census data for the unincorporated community known as Spilly, which at a guess might have 30 people in it. Home to 1 general store, 3 small streets, and a handful of houses, Spilly is stunningly gorgeous. The valley is part of the Rocky Mountain Trench, the site of a 185 million year old continental collision that created all the Columbia Mountains. Today, the trench between the Purcells and the Rockies frames a wide, green, lazy river, a railroad, highway, and many willow trees. It's perhaps best known as the gateway to the Bugaboos, a world-famous alpine climbing range. The valley is up to 15 kilometers wide here, with Little Jubilee Mountain sitting curiously right in the middle, all by herself. And almost 2 decades ago, the owner of the Beeland General Store rescued our reporter from a night out in the bush in the middle of the night. Have a listen as they reconnect.
Oh, hi, Morley.
Yeah.
My name's Matt. I'm not sure if you would remember, but it's got to be maybe 15 years ago.
From where?
I was, right in this area, I was tree planting, and my crew forgot me in the woods, and you picked me up on the road. You were moving bees in the middle of the night.
I remember that. That was so weird.
Yeah, that was weird for me, too.
Kathy, little story here. Nicholas and I were hauling bees. I don't know what time in the morning it was.
It was around midnight. I'd been walking for
we had to
a while.
Haul bees in the night when they're not flying. We had to use the North Road. We're driving out, and here's this dude walking out. His crew forgot him in the bush.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to see a vehicle, so I kind of got in the middle of the road and waved my arms. Yeah, I was like, could I please have a ride?
Spring, the bear were out. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was late April. Yeah,
I know. Why?
And you had just started this place back then, I think.
About that time. Well, we're now year 18.
Yeah. Okay. So that must have been somewhere around 17 or 18 years ago.
What are you doing now?
Actually, right this moment, I'm recording a podcast.
And that's our podcast on entrepreneurs in the basin. To find out more about the people and places in this episode, make sure to visit headwaterspodcast.com. The Headwaters is brought to you by Columbia Basin Trust. To find out more about all the good things the Trust does when it comes to supporting people and communities in the basin, go to ourtrust.org. The Headwaters is produced by the good folks at Kootenai Mountain Culture Productions. A big thanks to our reporter for this episode, Revelstoke native Matt Cote. Graham Tracy is our sound engineer, Tara Cunningham, our story editor and producer, Vince Hempsall manages our online content, Stacy Michalski makes all of our custom art, and Jesse Lee our music. I'm Mitchell Scott. Thanks for listening.